Don't remind me about APCs, man.
Why? What's up with APCs?
You remember Command and Conquer?
What? Yeah, but what did the APCs have to? Now I'm trying to think what the hell the role they played in the.
Rhodes fucked me over with an APC once when we were playing online.
What? I don't know if I remember this story.
No? Okay, so we were playing online and it was us two against like 3 computers. And we had like the 3 computer AIs like down to the point where we were going to smash them. And Rhodes has this APC and he's like, oh, I have this APC. I need to fix him in your repair bay in the middle of your base. I'm like, okay, yeah, just send it in and repair it. Like, I don't give a shit. That's fine, you know? And, you know, the APC's repairing, and all of a sudden 5 fucking Tanyas pop out of his fucking APC. He declares war on me, and my base is fucking destroyed.
He betrayed you so hardcore.
He betrayed me so hardcore. And you know how Tanya, like, taunts you when she, like, is, like, blowing up your buildings? I keep hearing it. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, my base is under attack. Look down there. I'm like, oh, you cocksmoker. What the fuck?
Oh, he Trojan horsed you, man.
He did. It was horrible. What a douche.
He just didn't give it as a gift. He asked you for help. That's even worse.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and his Super Friends, where we know any movie that features Tom Cruise running is guaranteed to make $100 million. I'm your host, Brian Labick, and joining me this week is Andy Stolz.
Hey, it's me, Andy. I'm not Mr. Terabyte over there like Brian is.
Mr. Terabyte. When did I get that nickname?
Mr. Terabyte, just now.
I like it.
Terabyte.
And I get a theme song, too. This is the greatest day ever. And we also have Mike Bradley.
Hello. I'm not going to give you another nickname and theme song. I'm just going to slide
Andy,
on in here.
You should probably give Mike a nickname and a theme song.
Oh,
I can only do one a week. It's part of my contract.
All right, next week Mike will get a nickname and a theme song.
Great.
Every week it's somebody new, so you have a week to figure something out.
Oh, God.
No pressure.
What did I just set myself up
I know,
for?
see? You're on record now. We expect this now. All right, so, guys, Rogue One is next week. Who's excited?
No, I'm not at all. You know what? I am the. Is there an opposite of excited? I guess I'm depressed that it's coming out finally. I don't know if I can handle, the possibility.
I sense some sarcasm.
A little bit. I mean, of course, you have to be excited. It's the first Star Wars movie we're getting that is not part of main canon, main movies that they've done, with the exception of the Clone Wars animated movie, which, as good as the TV show was, that movie was not.
Yeah, I don't really count
opinion.
that as a movie. I forget that movie exists half the time.
Yeah, I just kind of count it as a really long episode of the show.
I mean, it's
pretty
clearly just 3 episodes of the show jumped into an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is...
Yeah, it could have been better. But it's decent. It's all right.
But all the same, we're getting canon movie that's not, an episode number officially, and that's exciting, starting a new Star Wars era.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting to see where they go with it. We're all Star Wars fans. We're all excited. I can't fucking wait. We are under a week. No, just about a week away. Just over a week. 8 days, right?
I'd probably more like
it's not
7 days and 3.5 hours. I would guess there's midnight shows all over.
Oh, good call. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's my segue from that is going from Rogue One to, because Rogue One is coming out, we have all these studios that seem like they're preparing their best trailers for, in the hopes that they're debuted in front of or shown in the theater in front of Rogue One, since that's probably one of the biggest releases of the year. Definitely probably the biggest around Christmas time. So we're going to focus on some trailers this week. We got trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the Mummy reboot with Tom Cruise, and the latest Transformers movie, The Last Knight. So that's on tap. And then, since we are recording this on Thursday night, in a few hours, I think Marvel is supposed to debut the first trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming on Kimmel. So we're recording before that debuted, so we're not able to talk about it yet. But it's definitely something I want to cover, so we might have to do like a bonus recording session I'll tack it on somewhere in there. So you may end up getting 4 trailers for this episode. We'll see if we can plan correctly and get that to work. But for the 3 that I know we're going to cover, we're going to do Guardians 2, The Mummy, and Transformers. So kicking it off with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I think I can safely say is a movie we're all extremely excited to see. And probably the most, I would think, excited out of at least the 3 that we have listed here between Guardians, Mummy, and Transformers. I think we're all pretty much in agreement that this is going to be fucking awesome. So that's coming to us in May of 2017. So, what do you guys think of the trailer?
Well, I would say, I mean, you can't say enough about how awesome Baby Groot is. That's what everybody's talking about. Social media's going crazy for Baby Groot. But honestly, the best thing I've seen in the trailer was Mantis. And the whole interaction with Star-Lord and just reading his emotions and everything was freaking hilarious. I mean...
All right, I don't know anything about Mantis, so you're going to have to fill me in on Mantis.
Well, I did a little bit of research on the background of the character, because I've read a few Guardians comics that she's appeared in, but none of her origin at all. And her origin is kind of weird. It features a bunch of characters that you would never really hear of otherwise, like they're pretty central to her own story. Basically, they look at her as, when I say they, I want to double check who it is exactly they say is they, but the priests and I want to say it's Kang is one of the only ones you might recognize. They look at her as being the Celestial Madonna.
Okay.
The
so
thing that they
sounds like she's pretty high up there, then, right?
Yes, yeah. Her power level is very extreme in the comics, but it's also something that we don't know what they're going to do in the movie with her powers, because they're kind of all over the place depending on who wrote the comics.
Yeah.
As far as how strong she is, what her powers exactly are. She always has the empathic powers of being able to read people's emotions and thoughts. Others have her being an extremely good martial artist, etc., for hand-to-hand combat. And it's a very convoluted storyline for the character. My best recommendation is enjoy the character in the movie, but it's not... It's one that's there with the Guardian story they wanted to follow. She's very present in those stories, but she doesn't exactly play a huge role.
Okay. Does she look like that in the comics, or do they change the design for the movie?
Honestly, in the comics, she dresses a bit more like Gamora, but, you know, the general look of the head and the antenna and everything like that going on, yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to say what they're going to do with her, because if they go the route of extremely overpowered character, she could play a huge role eventually when Thanos comes a-knocking. Especially depending on where they go with the Thanos storyline. Because if she has empathic powers and Thanos is trying to, say, woo Lady Death, and he can't read her emotions, he may use Mantis for her power.
No, I got you. Okay.
But we don't. I mean, that's the only presumption I can get out of where they may include her in the overall arcing story here, because we really don't know how the Guardians are gonna fit in with the rest and meet the rest, and how that's all gonna play out.
Yeah. Other than them being part of the movie in some way, somehow, that's about it.
Yeah, they're gonna be there, but
I wonder if it'll be all of them or just some of them. Like by Guardians, if it'll just be like Peter Quill, and that's it. representing the team. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I think people would be upset. I mean, because you're talking, to me at least, I feel like they've become, with just the one movie, as popular as the Avengers have.
Oh yeah, they're up.
You know, so no matter what, if you just include Star-Lord, you're gonna have some people who really love Rocket and Groot pissed off, some people who really love Gamora or Drax pissed off. People were gonna want to see them as a team. And I think that was the whole point of the first movie, too, wasn't it? That, each individual was not necessarily all that great on their own, but when they worked as a team, they were able to accomplish incredible things.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It'd be disappointing if they're not all there, but I'm just trying to think, economically, I guess, because the budget for that movie is going to be outrageous as it is. If you cut half the team out, you're saving money for other things.
Well, they do have 2 movies worth of budget there. I mean, you're legitimately talking about 2 movies combined to make one story where the budget may end up being close to $1 billion. I mean, I would guess that they may each get $350 or $400 million budgets.
Yeah, and half of that's going to go to talent.
Right, because they need it.
Yeah.
Because of the talent, they need it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just have to... Well, wait, we'll talk about that trailer when we get there in a couple years when that finally shows up.
Yeah.
Andy, what stuck out to you for this trailer?
I was surprised that we did not see Michael Rooker's character.
Oh, Yondu.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess
he was in the teaser.
Yeah, the first little tease we got. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was surprised we didn't see him. And I feel like they're showing us a lot of the funny parts already, so I hope they don't continue to show us all the funny parts. I
feel like this movie will be no short on humor.
Yeah, and I hope they don't overdo it, I guess is what I'm kind of going for. Because if they showed us this much that's kind of, pretty funny, I hope it's not like the entire movie is kind of super funny.
Yeah, I die with the whole Baby Groot pushing the button thing and Drax with Mantis at the end. Both of those gags get me every time I watch the trailer. And if those end up being the funniest parts in the movie, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be really tough to top Baby Groot and the button. I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
love
that's
that.
It's going to be tough to beat that. I hope they can, but that's going to be a tough one.
I feel like every scene with Baby Groot will exponentially get better.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I mean,
is Vin Diesel still the voice of Baby Groot? Do they just...
As far as I know, yes, Vin Diesel is still
change
voicing
his voice
Groot.
into a child's voice or whatever.
Yes, as far as I know, he's still voicing Groot.
And that's one of the things that stuck out to me is that I was really hoping it was still going to be the same voie. Part of me thought
just
that
the
would
deep
just been
Vin
great
Diesel
for
voice for the little baby.
Yeah, the little baby, but I am Groot. I thought that would have been great, but this works too.
It would be funny, but you got to admit it's a lot cuter to hear this little kid, 2-year-old voice coming out of Baby Groot.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. It just, I don't know. I'm kind of on the same wavelength with Andy. Is that I don't feel like when we got the original Guardians trailer for the first movie that you saw that much comedy going on in it, and yet the movie worked on a lot of levels with comedy.
It did.
And this one, I think they're pushing that because of how well the movie worked with comedy. So, did they push it too far in the movie itself, too, to the point where...
I'm really hoping that they didn't.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed with this trailer was they didn't really give away anything plot-wise.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. I know there's some kind of beast that Drax gets swallowed by, but I mean, besides that, I don't know what they're doing. Are they on a heist? Are they trying to do something with maybe an Infinity Stone?
You don't know what the beast is, or why they're fighting that beast, or where they're at trying to get the beast.
Yeah, you don't know what the antagonist is really. So I mean, it leaves a lot of questions, which is good. I mean, I kind of don't like getting a lot of the plot in the movie. So
Yeah, I
or
agree.
in the trailer.
Marketing that holds stuff back as they're promoting the movie instead of just showing you everything up front. Like, this is what's going to happen in the movie. Come see the rest of, the stuff to fill in the gaps of what we just showed you. Like, I'm looking at you, Batman v Superman trailer. But yeah,
or Terminator.
Oh my God, Terminator 2. Not the second Terminator. Terminator also.
Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, that Genesis trailer was fucking terrible too. I'm so pissed off that I watched I think it was the second trailer that gave away the whole twist of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I feel like this trailer was very much just like, hey, do you guys remember how awesome Guardians was?
Yeah, exactly.
We got another one coming out, so
yeah.
you're going to want to see this one because it has the same stuff that made you laugh as the first one.
Yeah, I think it definitely plays to the normal, quote-unquote normal movie-going audience. People that don't follow this stuff and know this movie is coming. This is the announcement. Yeah. This one's coming.
I'm just really hoping that they do not spoil whoever Sylvester Stallone is playing for this movie in one of the trailers.
Oh, I did not realize that they cast him.
Yeah, he's listed as part of the cast, and they casted him a while ago, but they will not list the name of his character.
And Kurt Russell's also in this, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I believe he's Ego, right?
Yeah.
He's cast as Ego, the Living Planet.
Oh, so it'll just be his voice.
Well, probably an amalgamation of his face.
Yeah, we'll have to see, I guess, what they do with the character, if they interpret him differently, or... I mean, for all we know, he could show up as some sort of alien humanoid thing, just to be able to have Kurt Russell on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they may have an explanation of how Ego came to be, and they explain it away as originally he was a humanoid, and they tell some short story about it or something, I don't know.
Well, I mean, he would have to have been humanoid at some point, right? Because he's supposed to be Star-Lord's dad.
Ego?
I'm pretty sure that's what... you hear Kurt Russell was cast. They talked about Kurt Russell playing Star-Lord's dad, and then you hear that Kurt Russell was playing Ego.
Yeah, I think there was rumors that he was going to be Star-Lord's dad. I don't think that was ever confirmed in any way.
Okay,
because
maybe I heard differently.
Ego could not be Star-Lord's dad. There's a couple routes they can go, but, I mean... Star-Lord's dad has to be Jason from Spartax. I mean, that's his dad. That's the character that is Star-Lord's dad. I don't know if they say it Jason. I've never heard it actually spoken.
Yeah, that's the comics. I don't think they're doing that for this movie. I will put money on Jason not being Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah, and I could see them going like the Adam Warlock route. But I don't see them doing Ego. Ego, the Living Planet, being his dad, I think is... For anybody who does not know, Ego is... Basically, in the comics, he shows up, and the appearance of it is a planet with a face. And I don't know a whole lot about the character itself, but it just doesn't... how would that make any sense? I just don't get it. I
mean, it's something they'll have to explain, but I mean, in my mind, if they're going to make Kurt Russell humanoid, like, that's how he would be able to have sex with Star-Lord's mom to make Star-Lord.
Right. I think the thing I'm getting at is
She's not going to have sex with
Sylvester Stallone.
That would be weird.
I'm just saying, I would bet it's Sylvester Stallone that is his dad.
Yeah,
Depending on who they determine Stallone to be will be the question, but I would bet that ends up being his dad. Because I really... I mean...
I'm going to have to Google this afterwards, because I could have sworn I almost thought James Gunn came out and said. And I don't know if it was just... Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm mixing it up. Maybe it was just he confirmed who Kurt Russell was playing and not that Kurt Russell was Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah, I think it was they announced Kurt Russell and then they announced who he was playing, and then James Gunn was like, oh, and you get to meet the dad in this movie.
Oh, it's just like an offhanded
and they kind of coincided.
Yeah,
they coincided with the Kurt Russell announcement. I don't think necessarily came out and said Kurt Russell was the dad.
Okay. All right, so maybe I'm misreading things. Or maybe I'm like just clicking all the clickbait headlines and like, what? Kurt Russell's his dad?
I feel like that's what happened at first was like they the reports came out that he was cast, and I think before they announced who he was, everybody was already on board with him being his dad.
Yeah.
That it just kind of spread like wildfire that was what it was going to be.
Damn you, Internet, and your misinformation.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Everything
if they do
on the
it that
internet
way,
is correct.
We'll see how they do it.
Everything. Absolutely everything is correct.
Everything.
I mean, we're on the internet, so obviously we're
always correct.
always correct.
We are. I would not want to fact check all these episodes and see how many things we got wrong. But
You mean nothing. It's real easy. We got nothing wrong. Everything is correct.
Gold stars all around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this trailer was great. I think the humor was awesome. The action still looks great. The soundtrack is still fucking on point.
yeah, that was something I complained about with the teaser for the trailer, was that it was the same song from the first trailer, and I was like, I was hoping to get a new song, and finally we do, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what the soundtrack looks like for Volume 2.
Honestly, that was the first, Volume 1 was the first soundtrack I had bought for a movie. Like, I actually bought it, hard copy of it, first
You
time
buy it on
probably
cassette?
15 years. No, not by a cassette. But I bought a CD, but it was honestly the first CD I'd bought in a long time. But I wanted the cover art, I wanted, everything that comes along with that.
Yeah.
And, just an awesome soundtrack. It's...
So, I had one question I wanted to bring up to you guys. There's one Guardian of the Galaxy that has no speaking lines in this trailer. Should we be worried?
You're talking about Gamora?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Why would we be worried?
If you're just taking it by the trailer, she seems to be relegated to the background compared to everyone else. Now, I don't know if that's just because, Baby Groot and Drax are where the humor is, so they know that's what people will latch on to. Gamora's she's probably the straight person out of the group. So
She is, but she still had some of the funniest lines from the first movie.
Yeah, playing the straight man, you can have funny things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm just, I guess, a little bit disappointed that everybody seemed like they had at least a moment or two, and she didn't really do much besides jump on a tentacle.
Perhaps most of her dialogue is
She can jump on my
spoilerific.
Oh, come on, Andy.
Andy went there. Okay.
Somebody had
I
to.
feel like someone had to, right?
Yeah, it was there. It was definitely there.
I did leave that one hanging. That was a little bit too easy for you.
Yeah. It's like a beach ball, and I had one of those big red wiffle ball bats. Made that pong noise,
Yeah, except the beach ball doesn't fly very far.
No, but I still hit it.
Point taken. Point taken. Mike, I think we interrupted your train of thought. You remember where you were going with that?
I was just saying perhaps her dialogue in the movie, a lot of it is full of spoiler-worthy stuff that they didn't want to include in this initial trailer.
I mean, if that's the case, then I appreciate them not putting it in the trailer, but I still feel like that's kind of unlikely.
I feel like they've gone through a lot of trouble to establish that the relationship between Gamora and Star-Lord is kind of almost a centerpiece for this. Like, that may be the only plot thing that they have given away. So I don't think that she's going to be relegated to the background, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's going to be a heavy love interest there, that would be... It wouldn't make sense.
Okay, so follow-up question. Would you like to see the love interest, like the love story, the relationship types thing with Star-Lord and Gamora to play out? Or do you think that the team doesn't need that? It's an unnecessary addition to the movie, just focus on other stories and...
I honestly prefer the tension from the first movie. That it was there, but it wasn't going to happen. She was too off-put by the idea of it, period.
Yeah.
I prefer that dynamic to the relationship to some true romance of any sort, which I'm sure would be silly, given the way the first one was wrote, it would still come off silly, but it I don't know, I wouldn't want a serious romance involved in Guardians of the Galaxy. It wouldn't work for me. I think the two of them would work together, but
Yeah, my personal opinion, I feel like the movie probably has enough other things going on. I don't need the romantic subplot to distract from other things that I would rather see.
Right.
I don't want it to feel forced, is basically, I guess, what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that wasn't that way in the comics. You know what I mean? Like, they never really explored that, so I don't know what they would do with it. You know, like, it's... I don't know. It's one of those strange gray areas where it's like Gamora to me is a character, even from the movie, is not a character that has interest in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, to her, that's just kind of like, no, I just need to do my assassin thing and, you know, be very nomadic almost. Like, she's kind of the loner of the group.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of them all kind of buddy along, and she's kind of the quiet one in the back that's really probably the most dangerous of all of them. And I like that aspect to the character, but I feel like they're going to go the romantic love interest route here, and I don't know. See how it plays out. I'm not going to judge it till I see it.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but just, again, from what the trailer's presenting us, that's what I'm sort of getting. And I'm hoping, like, we're obviously going to get at least one more trailer, maybe two, between now and May. So,
yeah,
at the very least, hopefully the next trailer will give Gamora maybe something more to do, and we'll actually feel like she's part of the team in the next trailer. I think that would be nice. Because, you run the risk of, from the team, she's the only female person, and everyone else has something to do, and she doesn't in this trailer.
So she's Lois Lane?
Yeah, in a manner of speaking, like, according to this trailer. I mean, she kicks more ass in the trailer, I think, than Lois Lane has ever done, but...
And I mean, that plays into what I was saying about her, and what I like about the character is that that's kind of what she does. She is kind of back of the bus about it, and sit there and just kind of calculating, you know.
Silent but deadly type.
Yeah.
I got you.
So I don't know. I think we'll get more with the second or third trailer. Definitely get more of an idea of where the story's headed.
Yeah.
You know, because right now it was just kind of like, here's Baby Groot, here's a big, weird, tentacled thing, and here's Mantis, even though probably 90% of the people that watch the trailer have no idea who Mantis is to begin with. So...
Yep, it's just like the Guardians as a whole. Last summer, what summer was that? 2 summers ago? 3 summers ago? Shit, what year did that movie come out? 2015?
I don't
want to say
remember.
2014. I want to say 14. 14 or 15, but part of me feels like 14.
I'm trying to think what was summer of 15. That would have been Age of Ultron, right?
Last year.
Or yeah.
15 was last year, so this would be 14 that Guardians came out.
Yeah, it would have to have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright, so I totally lost my train of thought because I was too worried about the year now. Anything else for the trailer that stuck out to you guys, or we'll move on to The Mummy?
The monster itself. I looked around trying to find any comic reference to what it was, anything like that. I couldn't find anything. Did you guys have any insight to that?
Oh, the tentacled beast thing?
Yeah.
No, I got nothing. I just figured some alien creature thing for random reason that they gotta fight.
So like an opening segment monster battle for the movie kind of thing?
Yeah, it could be.
Guardians are back here. They're going to kill a monster in the opening segment and probably get a superhero landing somewhere in there.
Oh, you got to.
Move on.
After Drax gets eaten and then busts out of that thing, he's going to land in a superhero landing.
Yeah. And I probably will just tap my wife, superhero landing. Superhero landing.
Here it comes.
Oh, there it is.
The shot that has Baby Groot on Rocket's shoulder, like, come on. It's fucking great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that.
And Baby Groot has his own little uniform. Like, come on. It's so awesome.
Yeah, little Ravager's outfit.
Yes. Oh, it's great.
My question is when Groot gets grown again, is he still going to have a Ravager's outfit? Or are they just going to go back to Groot being, free balling it out there? Because technically speaking, he was naked for that whole movie. Yeah,
Yep.
he is just a tree, but he wasn't wearing any clothes.
He's the Chewbacca of the team.
Yeah, yeah, which is also kind of weird, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, we could probably start a category or some sort of top 10 of like characters that should have worn pants in movies.
Yeah, I mean, my whole problem with that is that, like, as a family unit, you go around and you have yourself and you say you have your wife and your kids. What doesn't wear clothes? The pet. Your dog, your cat, they don't wear clothes. So when you have a character who's part of a team like Chewbacca or Groot that doesn't wear clothes, they're kind of the pet. And I don't know that either one of them is supposed to actually be a pet, but then it gives that connotation that,
Yeah, I feel like calling them a pet would offend them.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like you want your arms ripped out of the sockets.
That was my next comment.
Not offend
yeah.
a Wookiee.
That would be Chewbacca, and Groot would probably rip you in half.
I feel like he'd just stick his fingers up your nose or do something like that.
Yeah, that happened. Or stick a branch through you, like he impaled like 5 people in once the one time.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. that was like, oh look, he's all gentle but he's big, but okay, he can do that.
Andy, anything else for Guardians that stuck out to you?
No, I think yeah.
All right, we will move on to The Mummy, which... All right, so this is a movie franchise that's obviously being rebooted. You may remember the Brendan Fraser-led Mummy trilogy. And yes, it is a trilogy. Some people seem to forget that there was a third movie in this series.
Yeah.
I guess really before we get into the reboot, what did you guys think of the Brendan Fraser movies? Did you like them?
The first
I liked
two,
1
yes.
and 2, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first one actually holds up pretty well. I still really like that movie. Second one is not as good, and the third one's just dog shit. It's fucking terrible.
Could you count the Scorpion King as part of that franchise as well?
I was going to say there was like 3 Scorpion Kings too.
It's a spin-off from that franchise, but I consider the Brendan Fraser starring ones as the trilogy. Like that's
Okay.
the franchise to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the thing that it like rings back to me for the original 2, the third one I don't even acknowledge, but the original 2 was, you're right, the first one holds up 100%. The second one, it holds up until they show, until like now you look and see how awful the CGI for The Rock as the Scorpion King was.
It was
Yeah.
bad
So
back then,
bad.
but it stands out a lot more now.
Yeah, like, oh my god, that was just awful.
Which is weird because the CG for like that dust storm that he does is really badass in that movie, and then they go to The Rock and you're like, what the fuck balls?
They ran out of money at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
They were like, oh shit.
Like it probably would have looked better if they just strapped a scorpion body to The Rock himself and just did practical effects.
Yeah. It definitely would have, because it looked like WWE 2K whatever year that was.
It did.
With a scorpion body on The Rock.
Yeah.
And, but the original movies I thought were very well done. They didn't feel like a monster movie so much as they just felt like an adventure movie, to me at least. It felt more Indiana Jones than it did horror movie.
Yeah.
Well, and even with that being the case, I do think the first one played up the horror element better than any of the other movies in the series.
Yes.
Like, the second one I feel like is almost a straight-up adventure action movie. And the third one, I can't even really remember what the hell happened in that one, besides, like, Jet Li trying to kick some ass, but being really terrible.
He was probably the best
that
part
stuff.
of that movie.
Yeah, I can't even remember what the hell the plot for that. I think I saw it once, and I was just so disgusted by it, I never decided to watch it again, and... Because
I'm not even sure I finished it. Like, I know I turned it on at some point and tried to watch it. I don't even know that I actually watched the whole thing.
I know they replaced the lead
Rachel
lady.
Weisz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember who they replaced her with, but...
Yeah, I don't know.
Maria Bello, I think.
Oh, really?
Oh. Yeah, they took a 180 turn on that one.
I just remember, I don't know why this sticks out to me, but there's one part in that movie where they're in a plane. For some reason, like, Jonathan, like his brother or brother-in-law or whatever, is like in this plane with a goat or something. And the plane has to do like evasive maneuvers, and then like him and the goat like puke on each other. And that was the point where I was like, this is not funny. It's just disgusting. I hate this movie so much.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I think that was because they had to go to Shangri-La for some reason.
Like, you don't see
Because
them puking,
Brendan-
but like...
Brendan Fraser was dying, so they had to go to Shangri-La to save him.
Okay, you remember more than I do.
And I remember Jet Li had this huge stone statue army that they had to try and stop.
Yes. Yeah, that's coming
Sounds
back
very
to me.
Mandarin. That sounds very Mandarin to me. The 10 Rings.
Yeah.
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 I don't remember even who played the son, their son in that, because he was older.
Grown-up son. I don't remember. We're spending way too much time on a crappy movie. I think we should just move on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to sort of get a baseline to see where everybody, how we felt about the first series and stuff like that. And, just to figure out where we can go from there. I sort of expected, I guess, this movie to sort of feel like those, like maybe be, especially even set in like the 1900s in Egypt and stuff like that, like the Brendan Fraser one was. But I guess this one's going to be modern day. And from what I understand, I think, we've sort of talked about it on past shows, but the buzzwords in Hollywood right now are shared universe. So this is supposed to kick off a shared monster universe that would include the likes of like Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dracula, Invisible Man. I've even heard Van Helsing possibly being a part of this.
Damn it to hell.
Are we getting the creature from the Black Lagoon?
I didn't hear that one tossed around, but I'm not saying it's off the table.
You could throw in the Blob as well.
Yeah, I don't know what falls under like the Universal Monster umbrella. So I don't know what
the
they
Universal
have.
Monster umbrella would be typically you have your big four with the Mummy, the Wolfman, Dracula, and Frankenstein.
Right.
And then you have kind of and I guess the creature from the Black Lagoon would be as iconic an image to follow along with that. But then you get Bride of Frankenstein, and you get there's a couple others. I think you touched on the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Certain things also touch in, but I would say that the ones I would expect to see from their shared monster universe would be the major ones.
Yeah, there was even some discussion of like the Luke Evans Dracula movie from a couple years ago, if that was part of this. And I think they've confirmed. I think they originally
Dracula Untold.
Yes, yeah. I think they originally started that as that was supposed to be the kickoff for this, and now I think they're changing their tune and saying, no, the Mummy is now the first one.
As much as I did not mind the Dracula movie, I liked Luke Evans as Dracula. I thought it worked, but I don't feel like it would play into their monsters universe that they're trying to create in present day.
Right.
Dracula's eternal, but I don't feel like he fits the way they'd want him to.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know if they do this shared universe thing, if all these other monsters are just going to have modern retellings. Like, is that what we should expect from this? Like, I don't know if I'd like that.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some modern retellings of some stuff. Like, did anybody see I, Frankenstein?
No.
Yes. That was,
Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the other one. That was James McAvoy and
I didn't see that one.
Daniel Radcliffe. That actually was not terrible, but it was not great either. Like, it was... I'm glad that I watched it. And, James McAvoy, as always, was pretty damn good. And same thing with Daniel Radcliffe. He did a good job. But I don't know...
What the hell was the name of that movie? Why can't I think of what that's called?
I want to say Victor Frankenstein, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's very good. It's just not great. It's not what I was hoping it was going to be. Like, I saw those two playing the lead roles in it, and I thought, oh, this could be amazing. And it wasn't as good as I was hoping.
Yeah.
So, you see those two leading a movie, and it kind of raises your expectations a bit. So,
All right. So if they start, they're probably going to move forward with this whether we like it or not. So if they start kicking off this shared universe with all their, I'm presuming, solo movies for all these monsters, and then you get some sort of team up. Like what the? I'm trying to figure like what the hell do they do? Like what's the reason for the team up? Who are they after? Like what? I don't understand how this would even work as a shared universe.
I would say the team up would be more along the lines of the heroes of the movies teaming up. So, like, Tom Cruise teaming up with whoever they cast as Van Helsing, with whoever they cast as this one, that one, and going to hunt them all down.
Okay.
I mean, that would be my guess. Because
So Tom Cruise will not defeat the mummy in this because he'll have to hunt her down later?
well, the mummy really you just kind of negate the curse, and then the curse can be reopened. Like, just like with the Brendan Fraser movies, the mummy can come back.
Right.
Just kind of like, unless Dracula's death is final.
Yeah, I mean, the only idea that sort of came to mind was sort of like what you said with like if Van Helsing becomes its own movie, like if the shared universe Avengers style movie is just like Van Helsing sort of like hunting down all these monsters and going for them. To me, that's the only way this has to work.
Well, the other thing we didn't talk about that is possible for consideration when considering that there could be Tom Cruise defeats the mummy here, but from the trailer, since I guess we're trying to talk about the trailer.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It also appears quite possible that Tom Cruise may be the mummy.
Yes, I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah, if you show Tom Cruise rising from the dead, there's obviously something going on there.
Right. So if he ends up this movie as the mummy, then that creates a franchise for them because they have Tom Cruise leading the way.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly why they changed their tune with the Luke Evans Dracula being the first one, and now we have Tom Cruise for the mummy. So nope, this is going to be the first one because we need to lock in Tom Cruise for 10 movies.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, 10 movies.
No, I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number.
Yeah.
I was hoping they didn't sign him for 10 fucking movies.
He's going to bounce back between this and Mission Impossible for the rest of his life.
Maybe.
Or the better idea, he's basically just turning this movie into a Mission Impossible movie, so he's just playing Mission Impossible movies his entire... Okay, so social experiment. For this trailer, I went to a buddy of mine at work. I didn't show him what I was watching. I'm like, I got a trailer for you. I'm just going to make you watch it. So I showed it to him, and not even a minute into the trailer, he's going, is this Mission Impossible? And that's the online thing for this movie. Everybody's comparing this to Mission Impossible. And I don't think a mummy monster movie should be compared to Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, Mummy Protocol.
You just got the tagline for the sequel.
I mean, yeah, could be. I mean, I feel like the trailer definitely does that, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing because I don't feel like it's going to have that tone. Yes, Tom Cruise likes to run in the movies he's in. I don't know. If at any point he's hanging from a cable down in to attack the mummy or something, I'm out. But I don't think it's gonna end up feeling that way. But
I'm not saying like the spy aspect of it. I'm thinking more of like outrageous action sequences that just keep getting bigger and badder as you go through the movie. That's the sense I'm getting from the trailer, which for a movie that I feel like should be focused on the monster and that kind of thing, I don't think you need crazy action sequences and stunt work like that. I don't feel like that's what you take away from the first Mummy with Brendan Fraser, is like these crazy action sequences and stuff like that.
No, I mean, I don't know. From the first ones, like I said, I get the Indiana Jones feel out of them. It's adventure. It's not really action.
And that's something I feel
more
like
adventure to it.
This movie leads to rely heavier on, is more adventure, less action. I think that's the mix in tone that I'm not sure if I'm okay with. Again, just from the first trailer, like whether or not different marketing stuff comes out later to change my tune, but from this first trailer, I'm a little skeptical on this one.
I would agree. I mean, my biggest point of skepticism with the first trailer was the mummy, I guess herself in this case, it really like looked and felt and all the stuff going on just too much like Enchantress from Suicide Squad.
I thought the same exact thing.
I could see that. Yeah.
There's a reason we're thinking the same thing, because it's like it had that feel to it. And I felt like Enchantress from Suicide Squad was a complete failure of a villain for a movie. And now I'm watching this Mummy trailer, and I feel like had I not seen Suicide Squad yet, I wouldn't feel as down about this movie as I do now. Like, I don't feel excited for it.
Well, the girl playing the Mummy has got to do a better job than the girl that played the Enchantress, because holy fuck, that was horrible. But,
the girl that I have faith in the girl who's
hoop.
playing the Mummy.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Sophia Boutella.
I don't know who that is.
The girl from Kingsman with the knife legs, the girl that was in the white makeup in Star Trek Beyond. Jayla.
Okay. Yes, then I do have faith in that.
Yeah, I think she does a really good job.
Yes, I would agree.
So I guess it just depends what they give her to do. Because I feel like in Kingsman, she had stuff to do. In Star Trek, she had stuff to do. If she's just going to be a faceless, non-talking mummy that they just have to chase, maybe it won't work out regardless who they make the mummy.
Yeah, it's going to be... I mean, that's why... what's that guy's name? Played the mummy in the first ones?
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
I knew his name for a while because I was really hoping they cast him to play Apocalypse for the X-Men movies. It was my perfect fan cast for him, but he was able to play that character the way he played it because they let him be human at some point. Look human.
Yeah.
And if it's just a mummy wrapped up in bandages or whatnot, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays, but I mean, there's a reason why the Universal Monster movies from back then, the Mummy's the one that won. People really don't want to go back and watch that old version. I mean, hardcore fans do, but...
Arnold Vosloo.
Okay.
Is that the guy that was the Mummy?
Yeah.
In the Brendan Fraser? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have got that. I don't think I know that guy's name.
Imhotep.
I mean, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with it, but I don't know. Like, this felt like the mummies looked like it was going to be threatening an entire city and the modern world, and I don't know. I kind of feel like if you walk by that today in the street, you probably wouldn't even notice. You'd be like, oh, look, it's a cosplayer. What the fuck?
Yeah, really.
I don't know. I think it did not inspire me to really want to see it.
Okay. Andy, what do you got?
I was really expecting more of a retelling of the stories that we're already kind of accustomed to, and this looks like they completely rewrote it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what to think about that. I mean, generally, I like Tom Cruise very much, but I generally like his movies.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies is
The
Last Samurai, and you wouldn't think that Tom Cruise would be good in a movie containing samurai in it, but the movie's really good. But I'm intrigued. I don't know that I'm pay money in the theater intrigued, though. Maybe wait for Netflix or Redbox.
Yeah.
Like a free code from Redbox, you get a free rental or whatever. But
yeah, I think it's an interesting choice to start their franchise off with, because it very well could be the death of this idea of the shared universe at the same time as the beginning.
Yeah, that was sort of my thought too. Is I wonder how much leeway they're going to give this movie, that if it tanks, if their whole shared universe idea goes out the window, or if they're just going to be like, okay, so the first one didn't really do it, let's rework the second one and see if we can bring this back around. And if they have a 3-movie kind of window to win an audience over, or if everybody checks out of the first one, if they don't want to put any more money into it to try to do it, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you would think the logical starting point would be Frankenstein, Dracula, or the Wolfman, but they're going Mummy. And
I'm wondering, too, because we see in the trailer that Russell Crowe's in the trailer. Russell Crowe according to IMDb, because it's not specified in the trailer, that he is playing Dr. Jekyll.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if he's going to be like the connective tissue between all these movies.
Maybe he's the big bad for the...
Maybe not even the big bad, but just has a hand in like studying all the monsters or something, because he seems to be, in the voiceover of the trailer, almost telling, I'm assuming, Tom Cruise of like, welcome to the world of monsters type of thing. So he might very well be aware of like Frankenstein and Wolfman and Dracula and all these other ones they're trying to introduce.
And perhaps he creates Mr. Hyde by trying to, I don't know, fuck with their powers in some way.
That actually would be kind of a cool like a modern retelling.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I don't know, but that would be an interesting twist on it. I don't know. I part of me hopes that they get this right, because I really would like to see a new Universal Monsters universe in which we can have these stories retold in a modern way, kind of like they took Godzilla and redid it in a much better way than they had in the 90s.
Yeah.
That movie sucked.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just forget about that one in the 90s, and here, look at what we did. We created a real Godzilla movie again. So, I hope they can go that route, because I don't think there's any doubt that, you know, those Godzilla movies with King Kong and everything like that, that's gonna make bank.
Yeah.
You know, the King Kong movie, that's getting people in the theater. I just don't know if this is. And you're right, the leash could be very short for this, because signing on Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe, it's not cheap.
No.
You know, they're dedicating some serious money to this. So
I'm pretty sure, I kind of want to confirm this, but I think this movie, the Mummy reboot, was at least co-written by Ralph McQuarrie. Or not Ralph. Was it Ralph? No, not Ralph McQuarrie. Chris McQuarrie. The guy that directed Tom Cruise for Rogue Nation, the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, helped write Rogue Nation. Pretty sure they did the first Jack Reacher movie together.
Okay.
So he's been a frequent collaborator with Tom Cruise, and I don't know if he came on when Tom got the job. But I also think that the director for this movie is a first-time director. Yeah, Alex Kurtzman, who's done script writing a lot. Like him and Robert Orsi, I think, were the writing duo that did a lot of stuff within the last, 5 or 10 years. I'm pretty sure they co-wrote with, I think, JJ, the 2 Star Trek movies that JJ directed.
Okay.
I think he was involved with, let me look at his writing credits.
So definitely leaning more towards action then.
Yeah, he did. I guess he helped write Mission Impossible 3. He did the screenplay for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I don't know if you can really write that up to him. I think some of those movies had a lot of Michael Bay input, so I don't know if they were any good. Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness, Amazing Spider-Man 2 he was involved with.
So some good and some bad.
And he's got some TV credits too. Alias, Fringe, Sleepy Hollow, Hawaii Five-0. But yeah, as far as director credits,
were fairly popular. So
yeah, I love Fringe. So, but I think this is his first, because he was actually on tap to direct Star Trek 3. I'm pretty sure, and then his idea and all that stuff got scrapped, and that's when they scrambled to get Justin Lin, and then Simon Pegg and the other guy, I can't think of his name, to help write the script and get that movie going. Because I think that was a big falling out with Paramount, so I guess he came over to Universal and is now doing Universal Monsters for them. Okay. But either way, for him to get this kind of big budget movie as his debut, this could be interesting, and could be hit or miss for him as a director. Yeah,
it's a big undertaking to go to this extent in his first shot.
Yeah, what would you do? Your directorial debut, and directorial debut, and you have to direct Tom Cruise in a movie.
Is he hard to work with?
I don't think he's hard to work with, but I think he like almost takes over the movie. Like he has a lot of input on stuff that he is involved in.
Not even just input. He takes over. It's hard for Tom Cruise to play any character that's outside of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know, you watch him in movies, it feels like the same guy a lot of the time in the movie, it's a charismatic character, it's a fun character to watch and everything, but he really doesn't feel like a different character in the movies he makes these days, and it doesn't look like it's going to be any different from the trailer in this.
We have Ethan Hunt hunting mummies.
You know, I would take the crossover if they went that route.
It would be no weirder than the 21 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover, so.
Oh, that's true. As far as I know, that thing is like stuck in development hell. As much as they want to say that they're working on that, I don't think it's gone any further. So I'm kind of glad it got stalled out. But I guess in a few years,
yeah,
if this shared universe thing keeps rolling, we'll see what happens.
That would be strange. I think honestly that would be worse than Mission Impossible and The Mummy. That would be way worse.
You wouldn't see Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum fighting some aliens?
Honestly, I would love to see that movie if they just took those two and they made a new Men in Black movie. And didn't try and make it part of the Jump Street series.
I feel like that's essentially what they would do. Because Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones ain't coming back.
No. Not for that, especially.
Yeah. So I think whatever's involved with that crossover has to be Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, why have it be a crossover? Why not just make a new Men in Black movie? Reboot Men in Black with those two playing the lead characters and get Ice Cube in there somehow and make it work. And I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, they should just do it as the crossover, like they all got promoted to the MIB offices.
There you go.
Just so they can keep those characters intact and bring them into another franchise.
Yeah. I mean, that would be something they could do.
Yeah, that
God,
could be fun.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, okay, so anything else for The Mummy, or we'll move on to our last one here. Nothing else? All right. Nope. Okay. So continuing with the shared universe theme, I guess. Paramount is trying to do their best with their quote unquote most popular franchise, Transformers. So I'm pretty sure we've talked about on the show before that at one point after Transformers 4, which was Extinction, I think. Paramount assembled like their own Transformers writing team, which I think consisted of close to like 10 people. And they like got them in the room for like a month or so and just tried to map out what a shared universe with Transformers would be. So that would include like sequels and spin-offs and wherever they want to take different characters and whatnot. So for better or for worse, this franchise looks to be coming annualized. We're getting Transformers The Last Night next year, which is essentially Transformers 5. 2018, we're getting a Bumblebee spinoff. And then in 2019, we're supposed to get Transformers 6. I don't think they've announced anything else yet past that. But there are more spinoffs and other sequels definitely being planned. I've heard them even talking about Transformers 7 at some point. So, sort of, I guess, really, before we get in the trailer, like, where do you guys stand on Transformers? Not the movies, but just, like, the brand, the toys, comics, cartoons, all that stuff. Are you guys fans of the Transformers?
You used to be a huge fan when I was younger.
I was G.I. Joe kid.
No Transformers? Yeah, all G.I. Joe?
Yeah. G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, and X-Men. That was my stuff as a kid. I mean, I probably had a couple Transformers, but I never really got into it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think, I must have missed the Transformers train. I think that was a little bit before my time. I know that, Mike Romano, if we would have had him on here, he's a big Transformers guy too. I was kind of hoping he'd help us out for this one. So yeah, I don't know. I get, since we're all sort of like almost like fair weather fans, maybe of the Transformers stuff. Just where do you guys feel about the movies? On board with the movies? Think the movies are crap? Where do you stand?
The first movie was fairly solid. It was okay. Everything after that were really downhill slope.
Okay. Personally, I like the third one the best.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I honestly I like Galvatron. I like the villain the best in the movie. Let's face it. If we were viewing these movies as cinema, they're all crap.
Too much bayhem.
We're looking at these as quite simply, are they a fun action movie? And I think so far they've all been fairly fun action movies. And I think definitely getting away from Shia LaBeouf was the right move with the last one and going to Mark Wahlberg.
It's a transformer.
Well, yeah, there's that part of it, but there's also the part that it's just Shia LaBeouf's kind of gone off the reservation as of late.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I don't think they wanted to deal with him anymore because I'm sure he was interesting to deal with. But I think that they're enjoyable to watch. They're a fun watch in a lot of ways, but they're not something where I think to myself, like, oh, I gotta go back and watch Transformers, I don't know, Dark of the Moon.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta go back and watch that one today. If it's on, I will probably continue to watch it, just for the entertainment value.
Yeah.
But I'm not going out of my way for it.
All right, I think you're in the minority, Mike, because I'm more in line with Andy. I think the first one holds up for me. I kind of like that one. All the other ones I think are crap. The third one would probably be my second favorite, I guess, out of four. But
Wasn't the third one where that big robot had nuts?
That was two.
Oh, yeah.
That was Michael Bay at his finest. Let's put a ball joke in here. But I think 2 and 4 are pretty downright terrible, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if they have any. I'm trying to remember what happens in 2 and 4 now, because I don't know if there were any even really deeming sort of like action sequences and stuff. Well, okay.
I remember being really excited for 4 because they were going to bring out the Dinobots.
Yeah, they're in it for like 10 minutes.
And then I feel like they really fucked them up, which sucks because like Grimlock is one of my favorite Transformers when I was younger, and it's just like, hey, I get to see Grimlock, and I was like, yay!
It's like what, a 2.5 hour, 2.5 or 2:45-ish movie, and they're in it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, there's Grimlock, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean,
and you have to
I was
wait a
excited
long
for that
time
too.
to get to that. And I mean, if that's the reason you watch the movie, which is the reason I watched the movie, I'm like, good lord, I could have done so many things before I actually got to see Grimlock, but I had to watch this stupid movie first.
Yeah, I went to the theater to see 4, and it was, I was just going to try to give it a chance because I'd seen all the other ones. So I was like, sure, okay, trailers look sort of interesting. I'll go for an action movie. And the story was so fucking bad. People would make really, really stupid, dumb decisions that I had no idea why they were making them, and it irritated the fuck out of me. That halfway through, I wanted to leave because nothing made sense in the story of this movie.
Yeah, Kelsey Grammer's character entirely was just like...
I totally forgot he was in that fucking movie.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. He just said Kelsey Grammer. I was like racking my brain. Like, when was he in the movie?
He plays like the evil dude.
Yeah, who wants to like just kill Transformers or something, right?
Yeah,
Ish.
he's like he's almost like the overarching human villain in the movie.
Yeah, that just shows you how good his villain was. He's largely forgettable from the movie.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the trailer for this one. What do you guys think of this trailer for the last night that we saw? Do you think it's gonna, I don't know, like maybe emphasize your opinion some more? Like the same, you think more of the same, or you think it'll change sort of your view of the franchise? Do you think this could be enough to kickstart this shared universe that they want to do so badly?
Oh, it's more of the same. It's, oh look, Optimus Prime is gone again. Oh, he's back, but this time he's bad. Like, how many times can they do the "we need Optimus Prime back" routine?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, is that going to be the storyline for 6 and 7 too? That they're...
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like that's the story every time.
The trailer was weird too to me because it seemed like they were giving off this really medieval feel to begin with like the fire archers and that dragon, and like, wow, they really are going to introduce like King Arthur to this, and then they went Transformers completely.
Yeah.
They didn't have any connection there to me.
Well,
I was surprised that Anthony Hopkins is in it.
Yes, yeah, I don't know why the hell how they got him to sign on to this.
Like maybe he was contractually obligated for a Michael Bay movie or something. I don't fucking know, but
he wanted to sign up for his own Michael Bayham.
Maybe
I like explosions. I'll sign here.
That's pretty much it.
Maybe he was bargaining to be the voice of Splinter moving forward. It's like I don't know. Like,
put me in a Turtles movie, but first put me in this god awful Transformers movie.
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'll do that if I can be Splinter. I don't know how they got him, but I think it's awesome that they did.
Yeah,
it is a redeeming factor for the movie. Yes.
Yeah, big time.
It's still not going to be the hook that draws me into it, though.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about the medieval stuff, I feel like since they're setting up like these spin-offs and all this other crap, they might like sprinkle some breadcrumbs like for different time periods, and then it's like, if that catches fire with people when they see this movie, let's just make a movie set in that time period with Transformers. So if you really like this medieval section that they're going to do, maybe King Arthur-esque, we could get a total Transformers movie about King Arthur in the medieval times. That could be a thing.
Yeah, maybe. Where the Black Knight is actually a Transformer or something.
I don't know how it's going to work, but...
I was going to say, like, how does that even function in medieval times? What could they possibly do but watch?
Or I guess the dragons themselves could be Transformers and not actually mythical beasts.
Wait, wouldn't that like retcon the whole Transformers movie universe? Because in the first Transformers movie, don't they get there for the first time? Like, isn't that them arriving in like 2000 something?
No, because...
Well, they retcon that again in 4. Because that's how
true.
The dinosaurs, they get Grimlock and all that.
Oh, yeah, and then they retconned it again before that in 3 with the whole moon landing thing. How many times are they going to reset their fucking universe? Every movie, apparently.
Well, I mean, how long was Megatron encased in ice in the first one? I mean, they said he was encased in ice for thousands and thousands of years.
Right, okay, but that's the first movie. That's them setting up the universe. If Megatron was here first, as soon as he landed, he got frozen. The rest of them show up later, and then they have to fight. Cool. Second one... What, somebody was, like, waiting in space or something to, like... Who were the Fallen? They were just, like, hanging around waiting for something to happen, and then they popped up on Earth and did some shit?
All I know is that's the one where Shia LaBeouf went to robot heaven, and I was like, fuck this movie.
Yeah. And then the third one was like, they crashed on the moon, and then we took one out of there and, like, saved him or, like, kept him in a museum or something and tested some stuff. I don't remember. And then, the fourth one was... What the fuck was the fourth one now again? Oh, the Dinobots being there like long ago. Yeah. The more I talk about this, the more it pisses me off.
Was it the third or the fourth one that had Galvatron?
I want to say the fourth one because I don't think it was the third one. I'm talking about like the big fucking black ship thing.
No, Galvatron's when Megatron gets like altered by the nanobots or whatever. He becomes Galvatron. Megatron transforms into Galvatron. Like, the company makes him. And I want to say it was 3, but they all kind of just meld into one in my mind.
Yeah, like, 2, 3, and 4 are just kind of a big fucking jumble.
Yeah. They really are. Like, I can't remember if it's fucking Shia LaBeouf or Mark Wahlberg running away from Galvatron. Like, it's...
Because the third one was like, again, I feel like we're spending way too much time on this, but the third one was like, I know like the second half they are forced to leave at one point, but they didn't actually leave, and then they like come back and just level Chicago, fighting a big worm thing.
Oh, that's right.
But because Pretty Boy, what's his face, McDreamy was the bad guy in that one.
Yes.
So now I have to...
I don't remember how or why or what he was doing, but he was the bad human guy in that one.
Yeah, because didn't Josh Duhamel and
Tyrese.
Tyrese have to like infiltrate with their little unit to destroy the main headquarters of the city of Chicago to get the city back or something.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, Galvatron was in the fourth one, not in the third. Okay.
So that one was your favorite?
No. Now that I remember, like I was thinking of him being in the third, and it just they really do all just transform into one. It's just...
they're all more than meets the eye.
All these bad Transformers puns. We have to stop. It's so bad. Mike's saying all the Transformers movies transform into one, and you're saying they're all more than meets the eye. This is enough. I think we've capped this off pretty well. Sort of trying to steer us back on track with the trailer, and maybe someone can explain this to me because I'm not too familiar with this character, but I've seen a lot of people online pointing at this big busted planet-looking thing that I think is like flying through space coming towards the moon in the trailer. They're saying that could be Unicron. Does anybody know what Unicron is? Because I do not.
Nope.
Google does.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do that before I did this show.
Let's see what the deal with Unicron is. Okay.
From my understanding, I think it's like a bigger transformer. It doesn't look like a planet. It's just a big robot, which kind of feels like if they make that planet-looking thing Unicron, all I can think of is the Rise of the Silver Surfer Fantastic Four Galactus. Like this nebulous thing that's supposed to be a person in space.
Alright, so Unicron is the eternal arch-enemy of his twin brother Primus, also known as the Lord of Chaos, the Chaos Bringer, and the Planet Eater. He is dedicated to consuming the multiverse. His massive form is powered by the consumption of planets, moons, stars, and even the very fabric of existence.
So Galactus. I was going to say, so it is Galactus.
Yes. It basically, he's just an enormous transformer that can go Galactus. Yeah.
All right, so
who's Primus?
His twin brother. I'm guessing the
person
good
that
version.
Gave Optimus
the auto
power?
bot version of him.
Let's take a look at that. I can Google that too.
Or like is that like why Optimus is a prime? Is like Primus's essence in Optimus?
I feel like that has to be something tied to that.
Yeah, because you wouldn't think that you would have a Primus and an Optimus Prime.
Okay, Primus is the creator god of the Transformers. An ancient and ethereal being whose origins date back to the beginnings of the universe itself, Primus is a multiversal force for good. His life force existing across multiple realities and infinite alternate universes. In each one, he is the final defense against Unicron. Planet Primus eventually transforms himself into the planet Cybertron. So,
okay.
There's that. And his life force, the spark of each Transformer is a small piece of Primus's essence, the Allspark. So essentially,
it all comes back around.
The Allspark is Primus. Pieces of him.
Primus's ashes.
Yes. So, there's that. I mean, the idea of Michael Bay just said, well, they have Unicron and Primus. We could have them do battle in outer space and have a giant robot battle. Perhaps that was the idea behind including Unicron, if that's the case. If that's Unicron.
Yeah, we don't actually know if that is Unicron. That just seems to be a lot of people's theories and speculations. I'm really hoping that we're at the point where, geek culture in itself should be okay. Well, especially like the way superhero movies are very popular. Like Transformers, I think, would fall into that umbrella. It's probably getting a bigger audience thanks to superhero movies and nostalgia and stuff like that. That we should be at a point now where if you have something that looks and sounds like Galactus, just put fucking Galactus in space. Don't make this cloud-looking thing or a planet-looking thing that does the same thing but isn't actually a Transformer. Like, just give me a big fucking Transformer.
But as is, from what it says, he does transform from a planet in, like it's...
So some people turn into a car, he turns into a planet?
Yeah, I mean, he's so large, it really wouldn't make sense for him to turn into what exactly? Like it...
Giant fire truck.
Yeah, giant
Just
fire truck in outer space.
Trucking through space.
That would be awesome.
Why not?
Come on,
Using
Ray.
the water hose as his booster.
Even better, just give me the, what the hell they call it in Spaceballs? The Winnebago with wings.
Yeah.
Just give me a giant one of those, or even better, what was it, the Mega Maid.
Mega Maid, yeah. She's gone from suck to blow.
I mean, why not? That's the scale we're talking about, is Mega Maid, right?
Yeah.
And they did that in the 80s.
Suck the air out of planet.
Come on, let's make something like that now.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how he can devour planets. He sucks them up in the vacuum. Come on.
No, that's his maid Consuela. No.
This thing's writing itself. All right, so final question. Will you guys actually see this movie, Transformers, the last night in the theater?
Negative.
Is this trailer enough to get you in there?
No,
Negative.
I haven't seen a single one of them in the theater. So
None at all. Okay. Even though you
yeah.
seemed to be the higher proponent for these.
Yeah, I saw the first one in the theater, I think, and I saw the second one, and that was a mistake, and decided not to see the third and fourth.
I think I'd seen all of them in the theater, to tell you the truth.
Holy hell.
I'm a theater goer. I like seeing stuff in the movie theater, so I'll usually give it a try.
Yes, as am I, but man, 2 sucked.
2 was bad.
And I was like, I'm not making that fucking mistake again.
Well, I'm always hopeful
Honestly-
that they'll improve. And after 4
Well,
movies,
yeah,
I'm
and
not
then after
sure
I
if they're gonna
watched-
improve.
Then I watched 3 on Netflix, or I don't think Netflix was around at that, maybe like on demand or something like that. And I was like, yep, glad I didn't see this in the theater. And then I saw the 4th one, I'm like, yep, glad I didn't see this in the theater.
They go on way too fucking long. If he could trim them to 2 hours, I might be able to a little bit better. But that last half hour is like, oh my god, it's just an extended action sequence for no reason.
yeah, it really does feel like an action sequence version of Return of the King. It just... It's like, oh, he's dead, but no, he's getting back up. All right, let's do this again. They definitely drag on way too long. For something with an epic and thorough storyline, a long movie does make sense. For something with a storyline of robots are going to battle each other, we don't need 2 hours and 30 minutes plus for
Just
these things.
Cut out the human characters. No one cares about the human characters. We want to see robots kick the shit out of each other.
Exactly. Give us a Godzilla movie where they just kind of kick the human characters as they're
Yeah.
doing what they're doing. I mean, that would be fine.
You could trim those movies down to an hour without the human people in there.
All the same, think about the crossover potential there if they could get that through.
Godzilla,
King
King
Kong
Kong, and
and-
Transformers.
Yeah, why not? Although I don't think the Transformers stand much of a chance, but I think it would be great.
Yeah. Give it time. If the no, because the Transformers aren't ever going to not make money. For some
No.
reason, Transformers 4 made over $1 billion. It was like the only movie that year, the first movie the year it came out that hit $1 billion. So
Transformers 4 made $1 billion.
at least,
Yeah.
it made over
You're
that.
fucking with me.
No,
The
they
fuck?
they are
Those
critically
movies
panned,
make bank.
and yet they make. I don't know if it's like just international. I think a lot of it comes international, but god damn it, those things.
Oh, China plays one of the biggest markets for movies, period. I mean, their movie market's 3 times the size of ours.
Oh yeah, and I think they just devour
And-
these Transformers movies.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think domestically it did not do that great, but it's kind of like Avatar. Avatar did great here, but internationally it did like triple what it did here. Certain things just pop off in Asia that make crazy money.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up some of the numbers here. Age of Extinction. Yeah, okay. So Age of Extinction domestic did 245 million. Foreign, $858 million.
My God.
So it's
Why?
$1.1 billion.
I would bet foreign, it probably outperformed The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me try.
Force Awakens is like the highest grossing movie ever now, but
Third highest, I think.
well, it didn't beat Avatar, I don't think, but
Didn't beat Avatar, and it did not beat Titanic. James Cameron
Well,
still has the first 1 and 2 highest grossing movies of all time.
I will consistently still call bullshit on all of them. Not Avatar necessarily, but Gone with the Wind technically is the highest grossing movie ever because it's been re-released in theaters around the country for almost 100 years, and it's just continually made money. But it's not noted in the same way. It sold more tickets than any ever. But the reason it pisses me off is the re-releases. What did it make when it first released? That's what matters to me. The re-releases of Titanic that they've made money off of just kind of drive me nuts.
Well, I've been a proponent for, I don't care, because you have to adjust for inflation every time, every couple of years for movies that make money. I think you just need to base it on ticket sales. How many tickets does a movie sell? That is your baseline, and that's what we should be counting for what is the best movie of all time.
Wow, best movie of all time, I don't think. But
well, I mean,
the highest ticket sales is, to get that ranking, I think I agree, because what a movie ticket price now, back in the day, you went in, there was one price.
Yeah.
There was not, oh, do you want to see it in regular, in 3D, in IMAX 3D? How about IMAX 3D with a D-box?
Yeah.
You're at like a $50 movie ticket, and how many of those sold that amped up the price on all of this? So
I looked up Force Awakens. It did make $1.1 billion international.
Oh shit.
$124 million came from China.
That's it?
Yep.
That's not much from China.
163 from United Kingdom. I think those are the highest for foreign. Germany did 111 million.
What did it end up doing total?
Total foreign or total?
Total.
Foreign and total is 2.0 billion.
And that doesn't put it above Titanic?
You make me look up
Because I thought Titanic was just concerned with domestic going above Avengers. When they re-released it, James Cameron just wanted to hold the top 2 spots, so he re-released it for domestic.
Titanic is 2.1 billion worldwide.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's Avatar was, I think, close to 3 billion, I think, right? It was like 2.8 or something.
Yeah, Avatar was far and away. It just surpassed everything, didn't?
Yeah, 2.7 billion for Avatar. Titanic's 2.1, Force Awakens is 2.0. I think Avengers is still number 4.
Could be.
1.5 billion, so I don't know if maybe it's not that, because it was number 3 at one point.
Yeah, it was when it first
so Force Awakens would have took the 3rd spot and pushed it down to 4, so it's got to still be number 4 all time.
Are you sure about that?
No. Oh, actually, Jurassic World probably made a shit ton of money. I wonder where that's at.
Yeah, I was.
You're right. Jurassic World beat it, 1.6.
Yeah.
Okay, now that we've gone down the box office mojo rabbit hole, I think it is time to wrap this one up. You got something else, Mike?
Good. No, I was just going to say, if you look up, it has adjusted for inflation numbers on the highest grossing movies of all time. You can get adjusted for inflation.
Oh, okay.
And at the top of that list is Gone with the Wind.
There you go. You were
right. But Avatar still is number 2, I believe. If it'll scroll, there we go. Now, Titanic is number 2, and then it's pretty much what you would expect. The rest of the way, I believe. You gave me the wrong. Yeah, it's Avatar, Star Wars. The original Star Wars is actually number 3 and adjusted.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. All right, so I think we've covered all the trailers that we wanted to, at least these three, the best we could. As I mentioned, I think we're gonna probably try to talk about Spider-Man. I think Mike and I might try to get together to do that tomorrow, and then I'll probably sort of segue that in somewhere over here in this point of the show. I mean, I guess it gives me a reason to use the Wayne's World transition. I don't use that enough. So we'll just throw that in somewhere around here. All right, so welcome to our little special bonus segment that we decided to do now that the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer has dropped. Mike and I can only get Mike back. I couldn't get Andy, convince Andy to come back. So it's just the two of us talking about the Spider-Man trailer. We got a chance to watch it. We talked a little bit actually right before we started recording, but for the most part, we haven't talked about the trailer at all, so I have no idea how he's thinking about all this. So I know we've talked about it on past episodes. This Spider-Man movie is a bit of an enigma because it's technically a Sony movie, but for all intents and purposes has been made by Marvel Studios, which means it can be considered part of the MCU, which is why we get Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark in the trailer and a couple other MCU nods in there. So we'll see, I guess, where it goes from here. We can't really predict how Sony and this Marvel deal are going to play this character and this franchise. We're kind of just crossing our fingers and hoping for the best. Not the best plan as far as I'm concerned, but, you know, if the movies keep making money, maybe they can keep playing nice together and sharing this character that everybody loves so much. So we're just going to probably just get really into it. Mike, since we haven't really talked about the trailer, what did you think?
Well, first, Tom Holland still, from what I've seen, looks like a good Peter Parker. He pulls off the character, I think, a lot better than we've seen so far from Tobey and Andrew.
I feel like he's the first one that's going to be able to play both sides well, like Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
And
like
I feel
like Tobey did. Yeah. I feel like, Tobey did Peter Parker pretty well, and I thought Andrew Garfield did Spider-Man well.
Yes.
But I don't think we've had that good mix of both sides yet. And Tom, he just from the trailer even, he seems to do, I'm with you, really, really good.
Yeah, he pulls off awkward very, very well. Mm-hmm. It's a natural awkward. Like, I always felt like Tobey Maguire's awkward was forced.
I've seen it compared to, like, the Gosh G. Willikers kind of thing. And as soon as I heard the description, I was like, that fucking nails it. That's perfect.
It absolutely does. And, like, that always felt, like I said, it felt forced. And Tom Holland feels more natural in that sense of being awkward. And I think that's one thing I would draw on my initial reaction. The other is the Vulture suit looks fucking awesome.
Okay.
That was a concern I had, that we haven't got to see yet what the Vulture suit was going to look like. We knew it was Michael Keaton. We didn't know, what it was going to look like because the Vulture in the comics does not have a suit. He just kind of is a bald, ugly guy with wings.
Well, he has some sort of like armored type thing, right?
Yeah,
like
but it's
something
not.
He wears.
It's not what this is.
Oh, no. This is definite tech.
Yeah, it's definitely tech, and it's definitely nice that they threw in the fur just for the nod to the comics, because that's part of the Vulture's character. It's there. It's one of the iconic things about how they drew the character was that fur neck lining.
Now, real quickly, because I think like after we were done recording last night, you and I sort of talked after the fact about this trailer and what we were hoping to see, and you had some reservations about the Vulture as a character in this movie. So I didn't know if this trailer sort of won you over a little bit more for that. I mean, we don't get a lot of him. Like, we get a couple shots of him in the suit, and Michael Keaton has maybe 2 lines in the trailer, so it's not a lot, but I just didn't know if that was enough for you to calm you down a little bit.
I mean, I'm not worried about Michael Keaton. I'm never worried about Michael Keaton pulling off a role. Like, that wasn't my concern. It was just my concern that, the first chance we're getting for a Marvel Studios made Spider-Man, my concern was that we were just going to get the Vulture. And I guess the shocker is going to be a villain in this movie as well. But I just kind of felt like for the first time through, I really wanted it to be a big bang of a villain that, don't get me wrong, the Vulture is iconic in Spider-Man's universe, but he's still far down Spider-Man's list of villains as far as the most iconic villains he has. And, I think we had talked that we both kind of wished it had been Venom.
Yeah.
And something we didn't talk about, and that has always been my dream Spider-Man movie since they have started, was Kraven the Hunter. A Kraven storyline just plays into such a great movie if they do it right.
And that's a villain they haven't tapped yet, like on any of the Spider-Man movies, the Sony ones prior to. So I feel like he's just ripe for, like he's waiting in the wings to be used by someone.
Yeah. And I feel like it's such a good villain that you could do a lot with. So, I mean, that was really my reservation, was just that I wasn't sure about the Vulture, and I'm still not sure, because, the tech part of it is interesting, and we're going to have to see how they explain away the tech. I have a hunch on that.
Some of his, there's a little piece of his wings that almost look like repulsors.
Right, but we know Stark is not making the Vulture's armor.
Right.
We know that, and we know that the only other person in the Marvel Universe we know that can pull that off is dead, I do believe, because Ivan Vanko did not survive Iron Man 2. Correct?
Correct.
So, the question comes, where's this coming from? Now...
Well, the other, arms dealer that's still around in the MCU is Justin Hammer.
That's true, Justin, and Ulysses Claw's there.
Oh, yeah.
But what I will say is, for those who wish to have a little bit of a spoiler, I'm not going to get into what it is, but look on the IMDb page, scroll down a little ways for the full cast. You'll see the inclusion of somebody there that is more of an explanation for this. I won't get into who it is, but the presence of the character got me very excited for the movie, more so than even the Vulture and the Shocker could do. Bringing the character in that they're bringing could have massive repercussions for the entire MCU.
Okay.
And I think that is just awesome that they're doing it. I have my reservations about the person they cast, though, because I've literally never heard of them before.
Well, that could go either way, then. It could be really awesome or really bad, so we'll have to just wait and see, I guess.
Right. It just... the guy does not look like the character at all, so... But, nonetheless, it's out there. You can go and look and find it. I'm not going to spoil it on the show here. But where... And nothing says that that's actually... I mean, it's the answer for it. But the tech alone is... It just looked badass to me, like when he just pops the wings out and comes to a stop coming straight down at the screen.
Yeah.
That felt like, alright, now the villain looks cool.
Yeah.
That being said, I have seen pictures of the Shocker in costume, and at the same time that I was very impressed with the Vulture, I wasn't quite as impressed with Shocker. However, the pictures I did see kind of gave it more of a feel of like in Civil War when you see Spider-Man's gear before he ever gets involved with Stark. The Shocker's gear had a lot of that feel to it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Instead of advanced gear, and I think that could play into it too, that perhaps Vulture and this other guy find Shocker and kind of give him a bit of a boost in terms of what he's capable of.
I guess I was kind of expecting like more comic book inspired, I guess, maybe costume from him, like even putting on the mask and like that kind of color scheme and stuff. And I think the shot that we get of him, it looks like he has some sort of gauntlet on, I think his right hand, that probably produces like the energy blast and stuff that he does. But other than maybe like his forearms and a little bit up to his biceps and stuff, like that kind of color scheme for the character that you're used to is about it. That's the only thing that sort of seemed recognizable to me. had some tinges of yellow and stuff in there.
Let me see. I can send you the pictures I found of it. If I can find them again. But the stills they have of it, he has those gauntlets on both arms.
Okay, I think I only saw the one. Maybe, and I'm getting confused because I think they did release the first, like the official trailer, and then there was an international trailer that came out. I've watched them both, so I don't know if I'm maybe like the international one. I think had a few slightly different scenes in there, so maybe I'm thinking of what I saw in the international one.
Okay. I actually forgot to watch the international one. I know we had talked about that, and I actually completely forgot about it and didn't get to watch it. But there is the major image I found of what they know the Shocker's going to look like.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely, he does have a costume.
Yeah. It does. I mean, it kind of has that more low-tech feel to it, like I said, kind of how Tom Holland's own Spider-Man gear looked before Stark came along.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not it wasn't exactly the one that I saw, because I saw him without a mask.
Okay.
Was the shot that I saw, and now I'm trying to see if I can comb through one of these trailers and find it real quick and give you like a timestamp, but it might take too long for me to find out where the hell I saw that at.
And
I don't remember if it was like the beginning of the trailer, end of the trailer. I don't remember. I just remember seeing it.
The guy they cast is Bokeem Woodbine. I don't know how thrilled I am about that. Like, I feel like they kind of blew their wad on Michael Keaton, and they were like, they kind of punted for the Shocker. It feels like, you know.
Okay, I got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I got excited.
No.
If you find the international trailer, it is at the 57-second mark. And he's just in like a hoodie with... It seems like the yellow color scheme starts at the arm of the jacket that he's wearing. It just kind of goes up above his elbow. And he has one gauntlet thing on his right-hand side. So that must be maybe like the beginning of the Shocker. And maybe he ends up in the outfit that you have seen.
Possible. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it still doesn't look like a finished Shocker in the image I have there.
Yeah.
And you said 57?
57 seconds. Did you find it?
Yeah. That looks to me like, you know, maybe that's the start of the Shocker, or maybe he's like incognito at that time. You know, he's not in his battle-ready costume,
right?
Per se. I don't know. It looks
because that's what that was. I mean, just from that shot, that was what I expected them to go with for the movie. So if he ends up in a full costume like you showed, I'd feel a little bit better about that.
I'd feel better if the costume looked even more like the character. Like, I feel like we talked about this history too, taking the source material and going away. Shocker, one of the coolest things about that character is also his costume.
Yeah.
The Shocker's costume is just awesome. So, taking that away from him in some way, I don't necessarily like. And I feel like that's where a lot of these Spider-Man movies have gone astray with their villains, is that they try to put their own take on the villain's costume, and it's like, I don't understand why. If they did the same thing to Spider-Man, people would be in an uproar and would refuse to see it if Spider-Man had a costume that wasn't, you know, the Spider-Man we all know and love. But then they get to the villains and they're like, well, the villains are a little too over the top, so we're going to change them.
Well, I feel like they tried that with the first Amazing Spider-Man. That was a little bit of a departure from the classic look of the Spider-Man costume. And then what they do in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they revamped it to look like the classic Spider-Man costume.
That's true. But I mean, it still wasn't that much of a departure, though. I mean, it was a departure, but it wasn't like the departure of the Green Goblin to what Willem Dafoe played.
Oh, right. Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was slightly different, but it wasn't, you know, huge. And
well, speaking of the costume, what do you think of the wings? Because we had that little bit of that discussion last night, too.
I mean, I think they did what I expected. I mean, I wasn't expecting, you know, the feathered wings that you get. I was definitely expecting them to do the same thing they did with the Falcon, and not give them the feathered wings, but give them the tech wings of some sort.
Yeah.
Which, it's kind of strange when you think about Marvel Universe and how many characters have, like, angels' wings, and they just, one's the Vulture, one's the Falcon, one's actually Angel, and it's like, boy, they really had that theme going on for a while there, where,
they really like to see people fly, that's all.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, the sort of thing like we talked about last night, I think we both sort of thought, okay, we heard that he was going to have wings, and we thought it was going to be just a constant part of the costume. From the trailer, like, they're not there all the time. It just seems like he can sort of bring them out when he needs to, which I think would work better.
They look a lot similar to, like, they don't, I wouldn't say they're very similar to the Falcon's wings, but they're close. In the idea that they fold back out of the way and they're, they're not constantly there. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we're going to have to see them in full action to get a more detailed look at the back of the outfit and see what actually goes on there. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it goes from, like, his elbow to, like, his thigh. That's how big the wingspan is.
That's not very big.
Yeah, I mean, it's not coming out a lot. It's, I think we talked last night, sort of like the squirrel suit type of look, which is
I'm sorry.
Kind of what
you know
it looks
what?
like.
We were talking about two different things there. I was talking about Vulture's wings.
Vulture's wings?
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about Vulture's wings, and you're talking about the squirrel suit wings.
The Spider-Man suit wings.
Web wings. Okay.
I should have specified. I apologize.
Yeah, it's okay. It's my fault. You said we were talking about it last night, and we didn't really talk about that last night on the Vulture. But, yeah, the web wings thing, I part of me hopes that it's just kind of like a Easter egg kind of thing, that it's there, and it's like, okay, it's there, and that he
uses it for the one instance in the trailer, and that's it.
Well, maybe not even just the trailer, but, he pops them on and tries to use them and is like, how the hell are these supposed to work? And he's like pulling to try and punch, and it's pulling his leg up at the same time or something. And like I don't know. They never seem practical to me. The whole idea.
Well, that's why it seems like earlier in the trailer when he's fighting, like there's no wings there. So obviously it does seem like they fold up and go away, and he just kind of calls upon them when he needs them.
Could be, yeah. I mean. That's definitely possible.
Which I think I'd like that more than them just constantly being there all the time. Because like we were talking about, how would you punch if your elbow is connected to your thigh by some material?
Yeah. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. I don't know. Like, I like that throwback. I don't know. It's just one of the throwbacks that I never really cared whether I saw or not, because I never thought it was a good idea to begin with. Which I think is why I want to say those were only present in the first appearance, weren't they? They weren't in. He didn't have those in Amazing Spider-Man #1, did he?
You'd probably know better than I would. Or yeah, actually, the other Mike would probably know better than I would too.
Yeah, he would know better than both of us. Like, I know they're there in Amazing Fantasy 15, but I'm pretty sure they're gone by Amazing Spider-Man #1. I'd have to look again, but
I feel like it just depends who draws them. I feel like certain artists bring that back when they want to.
Could be.
I mean, I don't think it's happened recently, but like, back in the 70s and 80s, it could have happened.
Yeah, I can't say that I've read enough of the old Spider-Man to say that one way or the other.
Yeah. See, Romano, this is why we need you for fact-checking stuff like this.
I mean, I get it. He doesn't want the spoilers. He's into it, and he wants to just get the full-on theatrical experience of the trailer when...
And I checked with him this afternoon. As of this afternoon, he has yet to watch it.
Well, 7 days, right?
Yeah, kudos to him that he's holding out this long. I thought he would have broke down by now.
Well, it is that 7 days thing, so don't go to the theater with him. A girl's going to crawl out of the movie screen and kill him. Sorry, I'm pulling out the Ring references.
Yeah, I told
here.
him, I was like, I told him, I was like, I have to see Rogue One with you now, because if that is when it's going to debut in front of the movie, like, I want to be there when you watch this for the first time.
Yeah.
All right, so anything else jump out to you? I had a couple, like, bullet points, I think, that I sort of wrote down.
The last moment of the trailer, right before, right, like they show the Spider-Man Homecoming, then they give you one last moment of Spider-Man and Iron Man kind of, I don't know if they're racing through the city, going into battle together, whatever, but my thought on it was Stark testing out his Spider-Man tech that he gives to him and kind of taking him on a race to see how he can hold up.
Yeah.
But we have, I don't think we're going to get Iron Man battling Vulture alongside Spider-Man.
It would kind of defeat the purpose of Spider-Man's solo movie if Iron Man is there to save the day.
Right.
So as much as I'd like to see him like tussle and see the two of them fighting side by side, I think for a Spider-Man solo movie, I think Spider-Man has to be the one on his own to best everybody.
The only other thought I have on that is, what if Stark ends up playing Uncle Ben's role? And that, perhaps Peter's true Uncle Ben died of natural causes, and eventually down the line, we get Iron Man's death because of something Spider-Man did not do. And
see, I think it's pretty much assumed that Uncle Ben played his role. Like the whole speech that Peter gives Tony in Civil War is essentially the "with great power comes great responsibility" speech, without actually saying that.
Yeah. I feel like
if he's learned that lesson, I think it has to be that Uncle Ben already played his part.
Yeah, possibly. I just like the idea of Stark going out in flames, and I think that would be an interesting.
I think it'd be cooler to see
it.
him go out against Thanos and not in a Spider-Man movie.
I'm not saying in a I'm talking potentially down the road, not necessarily in this movie. Perhaps, one of the Infinity War movies, it happens. And that, to push forward the Spider-Man that they're using. I don't know. It was just a thought that crossed my mind, because they insinuated that Stark was going to play a little grab ass with Aunt May, and because, I think that was part of the idea of him and Pepper being separated, and him acting that way with Aunt May was like, well, maybe we're going to go this route. I don't know.
So you think they're laying the seeds for something down the line?
I think they could be. I'm not saying I think that it's definitely going to happen, but I think it would be cool if it did. I think that would be an interesting twist on it. But, there's nothing that says that, Uncle Ben couldn't have taught Peter with great power comes great responsibility, and then died of natural causes without having to have died to teach him that lesson fully. And then maybe perhaps the death of Tony with his inaction would give him the full grasp of that lesson.
I don't know. I think that lesson is so ingrained in who and what Spider-Man is that it has to happen early.
I agree, but I also think that in the trailer even you see a lot of desire to act, but unsure of whether he should in Spider-Man. He kind of looks to Tony for the approval on what he should do. It very much seems like he's definitely not sure what he's supposed to do. So
I think that's just, he is still learning. He knows he has, the whole reason he suits up as Spider-Man is because of Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
He wasn't saving people prior to the whole Uncle Ben dying thing.
Yeah. I'm just saying they might be throwing a twist on it. That's all. I don't think that they necessarily are. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I like to get people thinking.
Fair enough.
I like to fuck with people's mind. It's fun.
And now we've got it on record, so we'll see if this pans out in 3 years. We can come back and say, look, Mike was right.
Honestly, I'm just saying it because Romano's not here to scream at me for having said it. So that when he listens to this, he can just, go into a flaming rage on his own at some point, and I'm sure I'll hear about it the next time we're on.
Mike Bradley dedicated this episode to you, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll hear about it the next time that I do a show with him. So,
trying to see what else I want to talk. Oh, the weapons we see that are in the beginning part, like that looks like some robbers are trying to steal an ATM with some sort of weapon.
Yes.
My first thought was that some sort of Chitauri weapon? Like a modified Chitauri thing?
That's going back to the thing I don't want to tell you about. Is to, once again, if you look up the character, folks, that is in the movie, for those of you comic fans, if you look up and see that character that's down there in the line, you will find out where this tech is coming from. So I will say, no, I don't think it's Chitauri.
Okay, fair enough.
But is it possible that they're playing both on this and having it be, yes, that's a piece of Chitauri tech, but Vulture and Shocker are getting their tech elsewhere? Sure.
Okay.
But I very much feel like that's going to be a spawning point for Iron Man's presence in the movie. Is, that's obviously going to happen early on. That's not going to be a climax moment in the movie. And perhaps he finds whatever that was they were using and says to Tony, what the hell is this? Where are these bad guys getting this from? And Tony investigates it, finds said other guy, and leads to the Vulture, the Shocker, whatever. I think that could be where the plot goes with Stark's arrival, but it's also possible that it's just Chitauri, and Spider-Man calls him and says, hey, I found some Chitauri tech. What should I do with this? And that brings it along.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yeah, that was just sort of my thought on it. So I applaud you for not actually diving into the specifics of what you're thinking.
No, I mean,
way to get around that very vaguely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right about it, and I know that I'm right, so I'm not. But once again, we're trying to keep it spoiler free, so
yeah,
I'm gonna continue that.
Okay. The other thing, we saw Peter that looks like he has a best friend in this movie.
Yes.
Who I don't really remember Peter having like Peter having a best friend like that. This character that they're showing reminds me of Miles Morales' best friend.
Yes.
From his Spider-Man comics.
Indeed. I would agree with that.
He plays a lot of that Gonke. Gonke is the name of his friend, right? I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's said.
If I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure how to say it.
Ganke.
Genki, Genke, Gonke,
Genki, Gonke.
Gonke.
Yeah,
a lot of these names in the Marvel Universe sometimes pop up. I didn't even know how to say Chitauri until they said it in the movies. So,
yeah,
it happens a lot in the Marvel Universe.
What name they give him, and I mean, they're probably not going to name him the same name because I feel like that would, continuity people would be like, "What? He's not Peter's friend. He's Miles' friend. What the hell?"
Yeah, but I mean, there is a glaring omission
he has that
on IMDb as well, and that is a Harry Osborn casting. If you look on there, there's no specified Harry Osborn anywhere. There's a few people that are listed as being part of the cast that do not have titled characters yet, that they haven't released who they're playing. I want to say there's like 4 or 5 people you've heard of that, you would know the actor, but they don't have a name for the character yet listed on the page. So, one of those could be Harry Osborn, or they could just plain old skirt around Harry Osborn even being present altogether.
Yeah, I think having any of the Osborns in this movie could kind of, I don't want to say rub people the wrong way, but all they're going to be thinking of is, oh, another Osborn. We're going to see Green Goblin again after seeing him twice already in 2 different trilogies or series of these movies and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I think Marvel will probably shy away from Green Goblin characters as long as possible.
I agree, and I think that they should, because we've had Harry Osborn appear in 5 movies so far.
Yeah.
Or, I can't remember. Yeah, he was in the first one, wasn't he?
I don't think he was not in the first Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay, so we've had 4 movies out of 5 that have had Harry Osborn so far, and Oscorp has at least been a part of every Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And now, don't get me wrong. Norman Osborn is the Spider-Man villain. He's an overarching villain in the Marvel Universe. That's great and everything, but part of Spider-Man's appeal is his rogues gallery, which is among the best in comics. It's pretty much him and Batman at the top of that list, I believe. And we want to experience the other villains. So I'm happy in that sense. As much of trepidation as I have about the Vulture, I'm happy that they're expanding to the Vulture and Shocker. And they're not forcing another Osborn and Goblin of some sort down our throat. That's a good thing.
So, just sort of winding back to his friend that we see in the trailer. I don't know about you, but did you shed a tear when he drops a fully constructed Lego Death Star onto the ground and it busts into pieces?
I actually... I went back and I paused the trailer right at that moment because when it was in pieces, I was like, was that a Death Star? Because I wasn't paying 100% attention to what was in his hands when he drops it.
Yeah.
And then I see it on the ground, I'm like, so I froze back and I was like, okay, there's Disney getting their plug in. Even in the trailer, we're not even to the full movie yet. They're already getting a Star Wars push in.
I originally thought it was the Millennium Falcon, but I had to watch it again and really look at what he was holding before it went to shit.
What gave it away on the second watching
for
me was the yellow laser sticking out of the top of it.
Yeah.
That gave it away.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, yeah, it's definitely a Death Star. And it was like, that's awesome. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's Disney getting a plug-in for Star Wars.
They paid somebody probably hours on end to build that thing just to have it destroyed on film.
Or they just went and found one already made, and we're like,
well, that could be too.
We're going to smash this, but we're going to buy it from you. I mean, yeah, that was definitely an interesting thing, because that was my instant reaction, was just like, oh my god, what was that? Because that's what I thought it was. And I thought that was great. One of the other things I wanted to note is that the character, the girl that he is evidently so infatuated with, I had to listen quite a few times to hear correctly that he said Liz.
Okay.
So the character is Liz Allen, which brings up an interesting potential story. Because one of the things that the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man got a little mixed up, I believe. Once again, Romano could correct me on this, but Liz Allen was originally Flash Thompson's girlfriend. And not Mary Jane. It was Liz Allen, but Peter did have a thing for her as well. And at some point, it's like and she's very mean to Peter. She's not a nice person. She's kind of like Flash. And there's an interesting storyline that takes place with Peter, Liz Allen, and Betty Brant, where Peter saves Betty from Dr. Octopus, and then all of a sudden after that, Liz Allen is very into him because, she finds out that he's a hero. She figures out that he's Spider-Man. She's one of the few characters that actually figures that out. But that being said, it's also kind of, I don't know that they're gonna do that, because I feel like they put Zendaya in this movie, who evidently is a thing. I don't really know much about her, but
I don't either.
She's the girl at the other end of the table that makes fun of him for looking at the girl playing Liz Allen.
Well, when she was cast, I feel like she was rumored to be Mary Jane.
She is not.
Yeah, I think they've since said she wasn't, but that was the big thing for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against casting a black girl to play Mary Jane so long as she has red hair. Give her a red wig, I'm fine with it. But at the same time, they didn't do that. They gave her a name, and I don't believe it's anybody I know. The character's name, I don't know who it is. But it's also not clear as to how big a role she's actually going to play. Which is, it's all things that were yet to be seen. But I think that it's interesting to see that they're bringing in more than just Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane into the Peter's love life game, because Betty Brant is in the movie. Liz Allen's in the movie. who the girl that Zendaya is playing. I don't know the character's name right now, but is in the movie, and I feel like there's going to be some sort of interesting love triangle, love square, since there's 3 girls, whatever thing going on there.
Love square.
I don't know. I made up the term. I feel like there's going to be some interesting thing going on there as far as who his love interest is technically going to be, because they don't make that necessarily clear. Because could they go along the same lines of what I said with Betty Brant and Liz Allen and something like that happening? Possibly. But at the same time, Betty Brant could just be somebody who has a name, but, you know, a teacher calls her name in class, and that's the only reason the character is fully named. You know, we just won't know. So, I think it will be a fun movie, at the very least.
Yeah.
I love the dig that Marvel is throwing at Sony, even in the name of it.
The Homecoming.
Yeah, I've loved that from the beginning. As soon as they said it was called Homecoming, it was like, okay, they're throwing their dig at Sony, even though Sony's involved.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'm guessing, being that they're calling it Homecoming, that we're going to get a fall battle at the Homecoming dance or something.
Yeah, it seems like it could be likely. They could be a literal homecoming.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you just call it Homecoming just for the dig at Sony and then don't have anything to do with that with the actual movie itself. It'd be funny, actually, if they did. But
yeah.
Overall, I was very... I'm still not as excited as I think I could be for this Spider-Man. But I am more excited than I was.
Okay. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think I'm still pretty pumped about it. I think this was on my list. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, so this has been on my list for a while of stuff that I'm looking forward to. Probably gonna make my top 3 for 2017 as of right now of stuff that I'm looking forward to. They've hyped it up as being that sort of like 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, John Hughes vibe, which I'm definitely getting from this trailer.
Yeah.
So I think that is fantastic. Tom Holland looks fucking ripped. For the little bit that we see him in his, mandatory shirtless scene, I guess, even for the younger guys.
Yeah.
And the way the suit, like, he hits the Spider-Man symbol and it just, like, goes limp and comes off him. Like, that was the coolest thing for a way a suit should fit someone. I thought that was great.
Yes. That's Stark for you. Stark figured that out. Like, so he can have it on all the time and just kind of Superman it in the phone booth kind of thing, and we can probably push the button and have it go the other way.
I know, yeah. That's sort of what I'm thinking. That would be awesome. We did get a quick little cameo of Happy Hogan in the background of one of the shots, so I'm happy to see Jon Favreau coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, more Jon Favreau for the Marvel Universe is always a good thing.
Yes, yeah. And we sort of talked, even before we started recording this segment, we talked, it was news a while ago that Donald Glover has been cast in this movie, and we were speculating whether or not he would be Miles Morales. He is in the trailer for a quick hot second. I think it was somewhere, no, I'm trying to remember where I tagged it at, somewhere around like the 143-ish, 44, 47, 40, I don't remember. Somewhere in the 140s, he was there. It looks like he's standing next to somebody testing out a weapon, so I don't know if he's some sort of like weapons dealer or some sort of other shady individual is the vibe I'm getting from the trailer. So that would seem to be he's not going to be Miles Morales, and sort of like how Mike and I were talking again before we hit record. Miles as a character is younger than Peter. Like, Peter takes on the mentor role for Miles in the way the comics are shaping up now, because Peter's been doing this Spider-Man thing for years, and Miles is still kind of new and learning. So Peter kind of takes him under his wing. Since Donald Glover is older than Tom Holland, that kind of defeats the purpose. If Donald Glover was cast as Miles, I feel like it wouldn't work the other way. I don't know. That's sort of just where I'm standing. Like, I can't remember. Mike, where do you stand with Miles? We don't think we're going to get Miles in this, or we do?
I personally, I have a inkling that they're going to split the Spider-Man universe between Sony and Marvel by splitting it and having Donald Glover either stay with Marvel as Miles Morales or go to be Sony's Spider-Man moving forward.
Now, in your mind, how soon would that happen?
For Sony to make a Spider-Man movie? Is that what you mean?
Well, for them to split. Like, if Sony gets Peter Parker and Marvel gets Miles Morales, like, when...
Oh, well,
give me just a rough, like, year, or how many years down the line you think before they split?
Because
the only thing I'm thinking is that Donald Glover might be too old. Like, if they want to lock him in for Miles Morales to play for 3 movies in an MCU thing after this split, it could conceivably be, like, 10 years down the road.
I see it actually going the other way. More so with Tom Holland staying with Marvel and Sony taking on Miles Morales.
Oh, okay.
So they can probably start right away. And it, you're right, in the trailer it doesn't look like that's a Miles Morales type of activity, but if Sony's taking over the character, Marvel's probably like, we'll let them do whatever the hell they want with it and ruin it and stop making Spider-Man so we can have the whole thing. So they'll probably let them do whatever they want with that character. And for all we know, he's undercover at that point, investigating, the people making the weapons or buying the weapons, selling the weapons, whatever. And I think we had talked about, like, how has he gone unnoticed in the MCU thus far? If he's older than Spider-Man and has taught Spider-Man and things like that. And perhaps he just doesn't use his powers. Perhaps he's the Spider-Man that never got the Uncle Ben lesson. Perhaps he's that kind of character that gets the lesson in some way in this movie. And that's how the split occurs for the 2 separate Spider-Man universes to begin.
Okay. Yeah, I see your logic. I don't know if I would see that happening, though.
I couldn't tell you until we see it, but it's a theory of
yeah,
mine.
Granted, we'll have to wait and see.
It's just a theory.
But if I'm putting money on yeah, I'd probably bet against you. No offense, but that's I'm more confident, I think, in saying that I don't think Donald Glover is Miles Morales. Probably a whole new character. It would really surprise me if, after seeing that real quick shot of him in the trailer, that they end up making him Miles Morales. That would surprise me.
Okay. I mean, and for those who are not aware, Donald Glover did.
They're one and the same.
Yeah. He did voice Miles Morales for the Ultimate Spider-Man television show, which is why this speculation is out there so heavily. Because
Miles Morales is an African American, like, Latino Spider-Man.
Yes.
He was in the Ultimate Universe, which was a separate, like, timeline or multiverse from the mainline Marvel universe, where the Peter Parker in the Ultimate Universe goes down in a blaze of glory. He dies with his mask off in view of the public and all this stuff. At the time, Miles Morales had a similar origin where he was bitten, I think, by some sort of the same type of radioactive spider. So he got those type of spider powers, but he wasn't doing anything with them. Sees on the news that Peter Parker dies in public, and then suddenly is racked with guilt because had he been using his powers, he felt like he could have helped save Peter, which then has him take up the mantle of Spider-Man. He becomes the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man, and then after the multiverse sort of crashes in on itself, Miles survives all that. Right now, Miles is in the mainline Marvel universe in the comics.
Yes.
He's actually a big part of this current Civil War II storyline that they're doing. So he is a good. He's becoming, I guess, a little bit more popular and more front and center in the Marvel comic universe. So the fact that they have this character that they could cast and use, there's a lot of potential there. And again, like Mike was saying, because Donald Glover has voiced the character, he was the front runner that they were trying to. Back when, like, Amazing Spider-Man was happening, Andrew Garfield got cast as Peter Parker. Before they cast a Peter Parker or confirmed that Peter Parker was going to be the Spider-Man, people were pulling for Miles Morales as that Spider-Man. They wanted a Miles Morales-led Amazing Spider-Man franchise with Donald Glover in the role. That was a big fan petition kind of thing that caught fire on the internet. Ultimately, Sony didn't go that way, but I think with that fan casting, I think Donald took it to heart. I think a lot of people involved with the comics took it to heart. Marvel, I'm pretty sure, took it to heart, and that's probably why they got him involved in this movie, just as a little bit of a fan service either way.
Yeah. And
so it remains to be seen who he's playing, but we'll see.
And if they do the Spider-Man thing with him and let him be Morales, you know, going to be an awesome couple of years for Donald Glover being Lando and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like Han Solo and Indiana Jones for Harrison Ford. That's, you know, it's tough to beat. But
I mean, granted, if he gets it, I think he'll nail it, because I think he's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm crossing my fingers that that's where they put him, but just from what I'm seeing and the way I feel like that's going, I don't see it happening, but you know, we can hope, I guess.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much hit everything that I wanted to hit. You got anything else to wrap it up sort of here?
No, I mean, I pretty much touched on everything that I thought, you know, my major thoughts about the trailer, so.
All right. Well, that's where we're gonna wrap up this little bonus segment for you for the Spider-Man trailer. And right about now, we will pass it on to our past selves, who have already done the podcast and ended it. So take it away. All right, so we're back from the pass off from our future selves, back to our past selves, and we're gonna wrap this one up. So we've covered all the movie trailers we need to. We got 3 we talked about earlier. We've got Spider-Man in there now. And that's about it for this week. So if you enjoyed the show, please stop by iTunes. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review there. Be sure to share, subscribe, and favorite the show wherever you find us and listen to us at. You can also find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/BryGuysSuperFriends. Like the page, love the page, comment on the page. We're all there talking about it, so you can talk to us there. And on behalf of Andy, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time.